Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Abyss Plane. Sumu's devouring of the Elf Plane has basically ended, and the subsidence of the Abyss Plane in the Void Ocean has just begun. An advanced plane. Even if this high-level plane is not the highest-level existence such as the Abyss Plane, the Chaos Plane, and the Primordial World, the origin of the world transformed after it is destroyed is not comparable to those high-level main material worlds. Just digesting these world origins can make the Abyss Plane grow greatly again. And, after the destruction of the World Tree, more than a dozen elf gods chose to surrender. After Sumu enslaved him with the power of erosion, transformed all these dozen elf gods into Abyss Lords, and dragged their kingdoms from the astral world into the Abyss Plane. The number of layers in the entire Abyss Plane has skyrocketed to as many as 40 layers. The distance to the endless abyss is getting closer and closer. And Sumu himself? The fall of more than a dozen elf gods, the fall of countless creatures in an entire high-level plane. The fear of all elves in the entire game world being born due to the fall of the main elf god Titania, as well as the destruction of a high-level plane. This kind of behavior directly drives Sumu's comprehension of the 730 laws of destruction, fear, and depravity. Sumu had a hunch. After you have digested all these insights, you will become a god king. To be precise, you will raise your level to level 16, completely control the 3 laws of destruction, fear, and depravity, and become a true god of the law. Not a fantasy. The devouring of the plane has ended. Everything that follows, there is no need for Sumu to host. All he needs to do is to digest what he has gained in this devouring quietly. Just when Sumu was about to retreat and raise his level, he felt a powerful breath traveling through the void ocean, coming towards the direction of the abyss at a very fast speed. Mind a move. Sumu merged with the Abyss Plane. A huge demon god phantom protruded from the Abyss Plane and appeared in front of the powerful aura that was already approaching the abyss. This is a god king. The body is flamboyant and the face is gorgeous, and the breath it exudes alone makes people can't help but fantasize about it. Indescribable. Succubus. When he saw that figure, Sumu had basically confirmed the identity of the person who came. According to the information that Sumu got from the dozens of flaming demons, only the Succubus clan belonging to the Chaos clan has this appearance. Only the Succubus has such a strong charm in addition to its body and appearance. Even the gods cannot be exempted. Chaos Family, Chaos Plane. Whether it is based on the legends in the game world or the information obtained from the dozens of flaming demons, the strength of this mysterious high-level plane is far beyond the game world. The God King of the Chaos Family is the Devil Monarch. With the rank of a God King and the identity of a succubus, this figure who appeared near the Abyss Plane, it can be determined that it is the Queen of the Succubus Queen May, one of the 7 demon kings of the Chaos Plane. Canshot. Succubus Queen. A demon king, after the Seal of Chaos was released and appeared in the game world, not only did not avoid the abyss, but actively appeared near the abyss, which made Sumu a little interested. The huge phantom leaned down slightly, and Sumu stared at the succubus queen who had stopped, and the voice of her blessing with divine power also spread in this void ocean. Queen of Succubus Mechanthut? Do not. Your Excellency, why did you come to the abyss? Hongdi's voice spread. The succubus queen, who had stopped walking, gave a slight salute to the phantom that seemed to be as huge as the entire abyss, and smiled. Of course, let's see if the legendary abyss demon is as rumored medium is generally strong. Try with your own life? Sumu smiled lightly. All of a sudden, Mechanthut got stuck. She is the succubus queen. Not to mention her stature and appearance, her seductive ability, which has already reached the level of a god king, gives her an advantage in the face of many powerhouses. To know, when he was on the Chaos Plane, he was fighting against the most mindless Devil King, the King of Trolls. The other party couldn't help being affected by his charm ability, and he couldn't bear to attack her ruthlessly. And now, the Abyss Demon God in front of him was not affected by his charm at all. It was only the first time they met, and he showed his right attack intention. Abyss Demon. an existence that the three great gods cannot fight together. In the face of such an existence, Mekantut naturally did not dare to take action. Even the joint efforts of the 7 demon kings were not over Sumu's grasp, let alone her who was at the bottom of the 7 demon kings. She kept in mind the purpose of her coming. With a slight bow in this void, Mekantut did not get angry because of Sumu's words, but said, "As we all know, succubus likes to attach to the strong. And, as long as this strong man is strong enough, the succubus is the most loyal demon. Your Excellency Abyss is already very powerful, but none of us, the demon kings from Chaos, are willing to be enemies with your Excellency Abyss. But your strength is only yourself. Thinking about it, your Excellency would also like to see a demon clan join in to make the Abyss Plane even stronger. So, the purpose of your presence here is to surrender?" Sumu said in surprise. Chaos family, Demon King, these are all synonymous with power. In the entire game world, only Sumu, who is above the God King, does not care about the appearance of the demon clan. And such a demon king appeared in front of him the first time the Seal of Chaos was opened, expressing his surrender to himself. This kind of development was something Sumu never expected. Of course it's more than that. Merchant smiled slightly, naturally charming. She whispered, "The status of the Demon King and the Demon Lord in the Chaos Plane is like the status of the Abyss Lord in the Abyss Plane. If your Excellency can release the shackles of chaos consciousness blessing on us, Mekantut is naturally willing to bring the Succubus clan to join the Abyss Plane and surrender to the Abyss. If your Excellency Abyss can't do this, I'm afraid even if I wait to submit to you, your Excellency Abyss will not be relieved." A demon king, with his demon clan under his command, took the initiative to join, and Sumu naturally would not refuse. As Mekantut said, the power of the Abyss Plane is only its own power. The Abyss Lord, not to mention compared with the Chaos Plane, even compared with the 3 major gods, it is far inferior. But zero, erosion and degeneration are the most powerful points of the Abyss. As long as enough gods are eroded and enough gods are corrupted, the strength of the entire Abyss Plane will be similar to Sumu himself, showing an explosive growth in a short period of time. And it is still an explosive growth with absolute loyalty and no hidden dangers. As for the shackles of chaos consciousness on demon kings and demon lords, mind a move. The gigantic demon god phantom stretched out a finger towards the direction of the succubus queen. A single finger is countless times stronger than the body of the succubus queen. When this finger was touched, the succubus queen remained motionless, letting this finger get smaller and smaller as it touched, and finally touched her white forehead. Subsequently, she clearly felt a cool energy rushing from this finger, pouring into her body. Erosion. The power of erosion. The succubus queen didn't know what this power was, but she knew that it was this abyss demon god who was using this method to get rid of the shackles of chaotic consciousness on her. The power of erosion pours in, continue to erode their own body. She can clearly feel that she is rapidly losing control over her body. When this cool energy poured into his head and began to erode his soul, consciousness and the imprint of the king, the chaotic consciousness blessed him, and the chaos that made every demon king helpless was gradually eroded, gradually engulfed. Abyss demon god is more terrifying than chaos consciousness. It can be seen from the fact that this erosive force can even erode chaos, and even engulf the natural bondage of chaos consciousness on them. Her choice was right. The chaotic consciousness without independent consciousness and consciousness will only follow the instinct and established rules to destroy the whole world and return the whole world to chaos as the ultimate goal. This abyss demon in front of me. This head has its own independent consciousness and consciousness, which is more terrifying than the chaotic consciousness. The purpose of its destruction and war is only to strengthen itself and the abyss plane. Even if it is a demon, even if it is a chaotic family in 5.5, they do not want to see the whole world return to chaos. Because the last step to return to chaos is to make all the chaos clans and all the demon clans annihilate and perish in the process. They were indeed born out of chaos, but do not want to return to chaos. Previously, they had no choice. Under the control of chaotic consciousness, they can only perform their own duties and missions according to the instructions of chaotic consciousness. And now, she has a choice. Leaving the chaos plane and the identity of the Demon King, she can still continue to live as the Lord of the Abyss. After a long time, all the imprints of chaos consciousness left in the soul of Mekhinthut were engulfed and removed by the power of erosion. The power of erosion also completely controlled the Demon King, who was equivalent to the God King. In this void, Mekhinthut bowed. Her charming voice also slowly spread in the void. Queen of Succubus, Lord of the color field, Mekhinthut, see the Lord. The color field of the 7 deadly sins. This is the realm given by Su Mu after becoming a pit lord. 7 deadly sins. With the addition of the Succubus Queen, Su Mu's subordinates already include Nefarian the Furious Dragon King, Olivia the Greedy Crow King, Rose the Jealous Spider Queen, Mekhinthut, the Demon King of the Color Domain, and the Gluttonous Insect King representing gluttony. Only arrogance and laziness are needed to make up the real 7 deadly sins. Same. The 4 Knights of the Apocalypse are only the Death Knight Agnes and the Barren Knight Augustine, and the War Knight and the Plague Knight can only get together. It's just that at the point where Su Mu is now, getting together the 7 deadly sins and the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse is more like a game for him than a mission. With the right candidates, Su Mu will naturally gather all the 7 deadly sins and the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. If there are not enough candidates, he would rather keep the remaining positions of the arrogant Demon Lord, Lazy Demon Lord, War Knight, and Plague Knight empty. Now, among the 7 deadly sins and the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, the Gluttonous Insect King with the lowest rank has reached the level of a complete demigod. Even if his mind is immature and he has not yet reached the conditions for being a god, the power of the Gluttonous Insect King is no less than that of a real lower god. The other 7 deadly sins and the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse have all entered the realm of gods. Ordinary existence. But he is not qualified to join the ranks of the Abyss Lords and become one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse and the 7 deadly sins. The addition of Mekhinthut, for the meaning of the Abyss plane, not only added another 7 deadly sins to this high-level plane, but also allowed the Abyss plane to have the addition of Su Mu to the Abyss plane. King-level combat power. Second, with the addition of Mekhinthut, even the demon lords of the many succubus clans under her command joined the Abyss with the Demon King. In addition to an additional layer of color gamut Abyss, the Abyss plane has dozens of layers of other Abyss worlds with different origin powers. Mekhinthut is one of the 7 demon kings of the Chaos plane. The Succubus clan is one of the 7 most powerful demon clans in the Chaos plane. With this kind of strength, although the demon lords who have entered the level of gods possessed by Mekhinthut are not as good as the other 6 demon kings, they are no less than the 3 god kings of the Dragon God, the Goddess of Light, and the Goddess of Magic and Elements. A surrender. Let the Abyss world, which originally had only 40 layers, directly enter the level of 100 layers of Abyss. As for the effect on the Chaos plane, among the 7 demon kings, the Succubus Queen has defected from Chaos to the Abyss, and even the Succubus among the 7 demon clans has changed from a chaotic species to an Abyss species. Although, this is not a big reduction in strength for the chaotic plane, but it is certain that it will have a certain impact on the Chaos plane. However, the greatest impact of Mekhinthut's mutiny is on those demon kings like Mekhinthut. Merchant's mutiny did not bring any unbearable consequences, except that all the demons received orders from the chaos consciousness, the chaotic consciousness of the succubus and the mutineers, Mekhinthut and the succubus itself, did not bring down any punishment. After all, chaos consciousness is just an existence similar to the instinct of the world, and it can only control the chaos demon through the relationship between the chaos family and the chaos plane. When Su Mu erased the chaotic imprint in the soul of Mekhinthut, when the many succubus lords and succubuses were also eroded by the Abyss plane, and all traces belonging to the chaotic consciousness were removed, the chaotic consciousness was naturally difficult to bring down the divine punishment, punish these traitors, and even wipe out these traitors. This result, in other words, the price of this betrayal, other demon kings also raised some other thoughts. As long as they are willing, As long as Sumu is willing, they can also defect from the Chaos Plane to the Abyss Plane, from a demon lord bound by chaos consciousness to an abyss lord of the Abyss Plane. If only they are willing to be like Mechanthut and choose to surrender. Chaos consciousness. The meaning of its existence is to end the entire game world and return the entire game world to chaos. When the seal of chaos is lifted and countless demons emerge from this high-level plane that has been sealed for hundreds of thousands of years, there are certainly some demons, such as troll clans, such as war demon clans, to execute orders from chaos, bringing war, chaos, and distortion to worlds and planes. More, but gave birth to other thoughts. Just like mercantile. Even if they are from a chaotic family, even if it is their mission to destroy the world. But when these demons have their own independent consciousness, it is their instinct to let themselves continue to exist and let themselves evolve continuously. The war began to spread. Starting from the remote and neglected small planes and small worlds, it has continued to spread towards the low-energy level main material world, the high-energy level main material world, and even the high-level planes under the rule of the gods. But, invariably, all demons and all demon kings avoided the direction of the Abyss Plane. Even if the spatial coordinates of the Abyss Plane have long been exposed, even in the Void Ocean, the Abyss Plane that is constantly sinking is so conspicuous, there is still no demon who chooses to attack the Abyss Plane. They won't even get close to the Abyss Plane. Just because there is one of the most terrifying existences in the entire game world. Abyss Plane. Sumu is still absorbing the gains from his destruction of the World Tree and the Elven Plane. Chaos is present. Devil out. When the countless demons emerged from the Chaos Plane and brought endless war, chaos, and distortion to the world, Sumu did not stop it. Or, this was what he wanted to see. He is the god of destruction, the lord of dread, and the lord of the fallen. The wars, the fear that the appearance of the demons brought to the world, the creatures, forces, nations, and even the world that were destroyed in the wars. Originally, it will promote the continuous evolution of Sumu. Time flies. When the war brought about by the appearance of such demons swept the entire game world, when countless demons destroyed endless creatures, and when the gods under the command of the three god kings could only support Abyss, but it became the only piece of pure land. Ridiculous. The creatures in the Abyss Plane are the most comfortable of all creatures in the entire game world. The Abyss Plane is also the safest in the entire game world. And the root of all this is because of the master of the Abyss Plane, the Abyss Devil who made the entire chaotic plane dare not take a step closer to the Abyss. A month, 5 months, 10 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Before you know it, 5 years have passed. 5 years. Sumu has been retreating in the Abyss Hall, digesting his own insights into the law of destruction, and also digesting the new insights brought to him by the invasion and destruction of demons. In the past 5 years, the growth of the Abyss Plane has not stopped at all. To now, the Abyss Plane, which was originally only 100 layers, has reached hundreds of layers. Because, in the past 5 years, not only many gods who could not resist the invasion of demons chose to fall, joined the Abyss world, and became a member of the Abyss Lords. Even in the Chaos Plane, there were 3 demon kings who chose to fall, and the beauty like Kanshut. He surrendered to Sumu and became an Abyss Lord. And Sumu. 5 years later, Sumu in the Abyss Hall opened his eyes. At this time, on his attribute panel, his level has reached level 16. For ordinary gods, a 16-level godhead level means that they have entered the realm of God King. But for Sumu, a 16-level level means that he has completely mastered the 3 aspects of destruction, fear, and depravity. Kind of rule. 1. Already a true god of law, sitting on his own throne in the Abyss Hall, Sumu opened his eyes. At this time, Sumu's body no longer exudes that terrifying aura. He just sat there quietly, and any ordinary person could see his figure at a glance. And Sumu, who was sitting on the throne, seemed to be like an ordinary person who had not yet started to cultivate, without the slightest abnormal breath. Only, when the divine sense swept over, even if it was a divine sense at the level of a god king, it was difficult to detect Su Mu's slightest breath, as if it's like an empty throne there. The true god of law. When reaching this state, Su Mu discovered that his division of the strength of the law gods and the belief gods was still wrong. In terms of level, he is level 16. But this level is by no means equivalent to the 16th level of believing in God and stepping into the realm of God King. The exact division is, when the Godhead level reaches level 16, it is the realm of the God King. When the Godhead level reaches level 20, it is the pinnacle of the God King state. Make a breakthrough at the peak of the realm of the King of Gods, and enter the realm of the God of Law only when you reach level 21. Su Mu, because of its triple conferred gods, directly crosses the middle link and grows directly from the beginning of the Law God. When his level reaches level 16, it actually corresponds to the level 25 peak of other gods. Level 25. It is the real upper limit of the game world. Even the ancient gods who were born from chaos and created the game world have never reached this level. The evolutionary method of the law gods is to control the laws corresponding to themselves. The concept of level 25 pinnacle. It is to completely control at least one law. At this time, Su Mu not only completely controls the law of destruction, but also completely controls the law of fear and the law of depravity. At this time, he is not only the abyss demon god, but also the master of destruction, the master of fear, and the master of depravity. Sitting on his throne, Su Mu stared ahead. At this time, he has two visions. The first field of vision is his usual field of vision. The second field of vision is the law field of vision. When viewing the world with ordinary vision, the world in front of you is not much different from the world seen by other creatures. Only, any illusions and hallucinations can no longer affect him. When he looks at the world from the perspective of law, everything in the entire game world, whether it is creatures, matter, planes, and worlds, is a collection of countless laws. The law of destruction is one of the countless laws in the game world, running through everything without exception. And it is one of the most important laws. When Su Mu sees the world with the vision of law, everything in the entire game world, including the void ocean that contains endless energy, including the broken worlds, including the intact planes and worlds, including all the creatures sheltered by the plain crystal wall world and the crystal wall, and more the kingdom of gods in the astral world, and the countless demons that are being born, grown, and killed in the chaos plane. It was all displayed in front of his eyes. The law of destruction runs through everything. Above the law, Su Mu, who completely controls the three laws of destruction, fear, and depravity, can naturally use the laws that permeate everything to see everything in the game world. By this time, the gaming world no longer holds any secrets to him. There is no unknown. So-called omniscience is omnipotence. After knowing all the secrets and all the information in the game world and mastering all the knowledge in the game world, even if the three laws controlled by Su Mu are destruction, fear, and depravity, before the existence of the same level as him, Su Mu's existence was similar to the god in myths and legends in the real world. Omniscient. Omnipotent. A smile appeared on Su Mu's face when he realized his current state and strength. By this time, his former goal has been achieved. The strongest boss in history. This title is well-deserved. Even if all the gods in the entire game world add up, they cannot be Su Mu's opponent at this time. And he only needs a thought to trigger the law of destruction that runs through the entire game world. In a single thought, let the entire game world return to chaos. Only, at this time, he will not have to worry about the crusade from the players. The only player force in the entire game world is the Abyss Apostle under his command. And the Apostle of the Abyss can never betray him, the Abyss Master. The end. Su Mu thought about it. The originally empty Abyss Hall was filled with figures. These figures, all of the lords of the Abyss Plane, were moved to the Abyss Hall by him from various places in the Abyss Plane and from various places in the game world a year ago. The Abyss Lord appears. After a brief shock, all the Abyss Lords were in the main hall, bowing down to the not-so-tall figure on the throne and offering their loyalty. Lord, go out. The Lord's achievement is supreme. No one doubts this. It's not just that they can only see the figure of the Lord with their eyes, but the divine sense swept over, but the throne was empty. Just to let them pull all the Abyss Lords into the Abyss Hall without realizing it, this kind of power is far from what they can imagine. To know, among these Abyss Lords, there are not only high-level gods such as the Spider Queen Rose, but also god kings such as the Succubus Queen Myconshut. Lord, are we going to intervene in the war? The brilliance in the beautiful eyes flowed, and Mechensut asked in surprise. The war between the Chaos Plane and the powers of the gods is in full swing. For a long time, because of Sumu's retreat, the Abyss Plane only participated in the Battle of the Gods to a limited extent, but did not really participate in the Battle of the Gods. Now, the main exit. In the eyes of these many Abyss Lords, the Lord summoned himself and others, naturally, to rectify the forces of the Abyss Plane, and at the same time launched a war against the Chaos Plane and the forces of the gods. But Sumu just shook his head. He whispered, "Next, this king will disappear for a while." During the period when this king disappeared, all affairs of the Abyss Plane were decided by the Abyss Council, composed of the Abyss Lords. If you want to intervene in the war, you must intervene in the war. If you want to be alone, no one else will dare to attack the Abyss. As long as the Abyss Council passes. Before this king returns, you can decide everything by yourself. The words are finished. Without giving the Abyss Lords time to inquire, Sumu's figure sitting on the throne slowly disappeared like a phantom. At the same time, all the Abyss Lords felt that a force so powerful that they could not imagine had appeared on the crystal wall of the world outside the Abyss Plane. This power is so powerful that it is difficult for all the Abyss Lords to shake it. This force. Shelter the Abyss. As long as this power is still there, even if the Chaos Plane and the forces of the gods join forces to attack the Abyss Plane, it will be difficult to damage the Abyss Plane. In the Abyss Plane in the innate, it is already invincible. And Sumu? At this time, his figure has appeared in the original world. The original world, the first world born from chaos in the game world, is also where a generation of ancient gods were born. When the ancient gods passed away, at the cost of his own passing, the ancient gods turned into thousands of laws that ran through everything, stabilized the entire game world, and allowed infinite beings to exist at the same time. This distant world, the place where the ancient gods were born and where they passed away, has also become the meeting point of all laws in the entire game world. Here is the source of the law. Achieve mastery, control the law. All information and secrets in the game world are reserved to Sumu, which naturally includes the original place of the game world. When he was in the Abyss Hall, when his eyes swept across the original place and the source of the law, Sumu also knew that the source of the law was the opportunity for him to surpass his own limits. So, when his own strength and realm had reached the top of the entire game world, Sumu made the decision to let the Abyss Lord form the Abyss Council and decide all affairs of the Abyss Plane. But he came to Yuan, Zhao Hao, the decision of the early world. War? Meaningless. When the entire game world could be completely destroyed in a single thought, returning it to chaos, Sumu naturally would not be interested in the Battle of the Gods. At this time he only interested in the last information contained in the source of the law and the final path to detachment. The original world is the source of law. This is a world that exists only at the level of law. In the entire game world, only the existence of the God King level can perceive this world, and only the existence of the God King level can reach this world. And even the existence of the God King level does not dare to go to this world easily, because this place where the laws meet is not only the origin of everything in the game world, but also the most dangerous place in the game world. Without reaching the realm of the God of Law, in charge of a law, rushing into the source of this law is tantamount to throwing an ordinary person into an energy storm. Just not. When Sumu appeared in the original world, he found that someone had already appeared in the original world one step ahead of him. The three kings. Those three figures that appeared in the original world are the three god kings of the gods: the dragon god, the goddess of light, and the goddess of magic and elements. Their situation does not seem to be very good. Yes, dragon god, goddess of light, goddess of magic and elements. When Sumu appeared in the original world, these three god kings of the power of the gods were also in the original world. The reason why they are here is also well understood. After all, Sumu, in the plane of the abyss, put too much pressure on the gods. The three god kings opened the seal of chaos and let the demons of chaos appear in the world. The original purpose was to make the game world chaotic and buy time for them. Pity. When the seal of chaos is really opened, after the chaos demons appear in the world, these demons who are known for their chaos and distortions and will bring countless wars to all walks of life will not dare to invade the abyss. On the contrary, as more and more chaotic demons walked out of the chaotic plane, the power of the gods retreated steadily, and they never regained their former glory. In this case, the three kings of the gods, who are the heads of the gods, are even more urgent. They are eager to break the upper limit of their own realm and promote from the god of belief to the god of law, so as to gain the strength to compete with the chaos plane, and also gain the strength to compete with Sumu. The source of the law is the only chance. Only. The ideal is beautiful, but the reality is cruel. Original world. Source of law. This place of origin and intersection of the thousands of laws is the existence of the three great gods and kings entering the realm, and there is great danger. Thousands of laws are gathered here. Any god who steps into this world can clearly feel the pulse of every law. It can be said, even after comprehending thousands of years in the game world, a god's understanding of his own corresponding law is not as good as comprehending 1 hour in the source of this law. This is the difference. But this extremely clear pulse of law, to most gods, is no different from frost to mortals. Under the God King, once you step into the source of the law, you will be assimilated by the countless laws that descend from the law level to the material level, and will become part of the law from then on. Tina is in the right place, and at least she can maintain her independent consciousness for a long time before she is completely assimilated. This assimilation by the source of law, not to mention retaining your own independent consciousness all your existence, including but not limited to consciousness, soul, Godhead, and divine power, will all become part of the source of the law. Gone from now on. This process is called Daoization. Under the King of Gods, once you step into the source of the law, the process of Taoism begins. Even the existence of the God King level, it is difficult to avoid Taoism, but it lasts a little longer than ordinary gods. Stepping into the source of the law, these three God Kings are pursuing to step into the realm of the law God. But even the King of Gods, when he steps into the source of the law, will also begin to transform. If they step into the realm of the law God before everything is completely assimilated, a law God who is second only to Sumu will be born in the game world. If it is completely assimilated before the breakthrough, the Daoization of the God King is no different from the Daoization of ordinary gods. All of them completely become part of the source of the law and disappear from then on. Had it not been for the threat posed by Sumu, if the seal of chaos was not opened by mistake, I think the three kings of the gods would never dare to step into the realm of the gods of the law by stepping into the source of the law 730. The result, unfortunately, when Sumu appeared in the source of law, the dragon god among the three god kings had been completely Taoized. In addition to its huge body cast in gold still exists, the dragon god, the apex of all the giant dragons in the game world, and the most powerful one among the three god kings, has passed away. It stands to reason that the strongest dragon god should last for the longest time. Pity. During the battle of conferred god, the dragon god was injured by the light of destruction. This kind of injury almost knocked the dragon god down to the realm of the god king, and made the dragon god's original flawless soul appear some flaws. It was the existence of these flaws that made the dragon god the first one among the three great god kings who could not bear the assimilation of the source of the law, the Taoist god king that passed away. The goddess of magic and the elements isn't much better. The four-color lotus flowers are still blooming, resisting the assimilation of the source of the law. Only, the light of the four-color lotus is extremely dim, and Sumu can clearly see that the power of the law is constantly infiltrating into the body and soul of the goddess of magic and elements, slowly assimilating the goddess king. The progress of assimilation, Sumu could not see. But just think about it. When the power of law has begun to penetrate into the body and soul of the goddess of magic and elements. Come to think of it, her memory and consciousness have almost disappeared, and the rest is just an obsession, right? The best is the goddess of light. The initial light enveloped the whole body, resisting the assimilation of the source of the law with difficulty. Only Sumu could see at a glance that the goddess of light couldn't resist for too long. Not only because the assimilation power of the source of the law is too powerful, but also because with the countless wars launched by the Chaos Demon and the retreat of the Light Camp, the believers of the goddess of light are madly decreasing. If you lose believers, you lose faith. If you lose your faith, you lose your power. In the absence of sufficient divine power, how can the goddess of light resist the assimilation of the source of the law, speed up her understanding of the law in the process of resisting, and be promoted to the god of law? Perhaps the goddess of light can hold on to the end. But Sumu believes, ultimately, the god of law is no longer the goddess of light. After losing all his memories and independent consciousness, even the goddess of light, the goddess of the advanced law, is no longer himself. Even the law god who was promoted in this way couldn't compare to Tinya's fitness. The three kings of the gods have finally come to an end. Because of his own choice has come to an end. His eyes swept across the three god kings. Sumu's heart was calm, and he walked quietly towards the very center of the source of law. There, it is the meeting point of the thousands of laws of the entire game world. There, it is also where the three god kings will never be able to reach. At the very center of the source of this law, Sumu sat quietly, comprehending the thousands of laws of the entire game world. He is the master of the law. Even the thousands of laws at the very center of the source of this law couldn't hurt him in the slightest. Instead, it was like a little beast that saw its master. It danced around Sumu with joy, revealing all of his mysteries, all displayed in front of Sumu. Law of destruction, law of fear, fallen law, law of death, the law of life, create the law of time, laws of space, elemental law, etc. Thousands of laws come together. It was at the place where these laws met that Sumu began his final retreat. Also because of this retreat, apart from the three laws of destruction, fear, and depravity, Sumu's understanding of other laws has also begun to improve rapidly at a speed that is unimaginable even for gods and kings. Time flies. Before you know it, hundreds of years have passed. During these decades, the entire gaming world has undergone tremendous changes. The Abyss Plane has reached 999 layers. In addition to Mechanthut, the three demon kings of the Flame Clan, the Frost Clan, and the Shadow Demon Clan also brought their own demons to the Chaos Plane and joined the Abyss Plane. Makes the Abyss Plane full of three God King level existences. It also made the power of the Abyss Plane skyrocket. As for the Abyss Lords headed by Agnes have also grown up in these hundreds of years. Agnes and Augustine have all reached the pinnacle of the upper gods. The 7 deadly sins have reached the level of the upper gods. Player side. In the 10th year of Sumu's retreat, Nanming Lihua became the first player to step into the sanctuary. In the 200th year of Sumu's retreat, he also became the first player to step into the gods. Realm players. Have your own abyss world. Has permission to part of the abyss. You can form your own demon army, and you can build your own abyss world at will. This kind of convenience after becoming a demon has brought great shock to other players, making other players continue to work in this direction. Apostle of the Abyss. It has become one of the strongest forces in the abyss. For hundreds of years, except for some players who have entered the sanctuary, they can maintain a long life, and most of the players have changed dozens of generations. For dozens of generations, Plus has also been completely integrated into the abyss. At the same time, after combining the magic skills of the game world, the great magic technology has finally developed. Magic Mecha, Megatron all around. floating battleship, infinite power. The existence of these two magic technologies alone made the former people become nobles among the abyss species. Not to mention, after the development of magic technology to a certain extent, the countless scientists built floating cities, making those huge floating cities the ultimate weapon for shelter. The war never ends. Yes. Beginning before the Sumu retreat, the war continued hundreds of years later. As always, the Abyss Plane is the only one. Even if the Abyss Demon God has not appeared for hundreds of years, this is the case. In terms of the Chaos Plane and the power of the gods, at the beginning, the power of the gods was retreating, and even countless planes and worlds were occupied by the Chaos Demon and destroyed by the Chaos Demon. But, more than 100 years after Sumu retreated, the goddess of light who disappeared for more than 100 years reappeared in the kingdom of light. At this time, the goddess of light has become the god of law. Law god. When Sumu, the abyss demon god, was not born, the goddess of light, the god of law, was an invincible existence, enough to kill all the demons in the chaos plane with his own power. Only, when the goddess of light came back, she seemed to be, a different person. There is no sense of the past. There is no style of the past. Even though her strength is invincible to the entire world, she just stays in her own kingdom of God and performs her functions of maintaining many laws such as holy light, purification, and redemption. The goddess of light has been conceptualized. As Sumu guessed at the beginning, in addition to maintaining his own existence, the real goddess of light has actually passed away. Fortunately, the return of the goddess of light finally gave the power of the gods the backbone. When many believers and priests under the goddess of light continued to pray, all kinds of magic techniques were developed instinctively by the goddess of light and passed on to the priests of light. As long as you reach a certain level of believers, you can communicate with the goddess of light and use the divine power of the goddess of light to release these light magic. Even if this is just a divine art, not a real divine art, it greatly enhances the power of the gods. When the belief in the goddess of light grew stronger and more sacrifices were made to the light, in this war that swept the entire game world, the forces of the gods finally reluctantly stood their ground and began to counterattack. War, counterattack, destroy, exist. It is in this chaotic state that the game world has spent hundreds of years. Countless worlds were destroyed. Countless beings were slaughtered. It didn't affect Sumu in the slightest. Hundreds of years have passed in the senses of countless creatures and gods in the game world. In Sumu's senses, time, as if it never flowed. Maybe a second passed, or maybe it's been a few years. Sumu opened his eyes when all the thousands of laws of the source of the whole law were brought to his heart. Peace of mind. Sitting in the center of the source of law, Sumu just looked at it at a glance, and everything in the entire game world was attributed to his eyes. Detachment. This is what Sumu came to the source of law for. And now, the thousands of laws of the entire game world have all been under his control. He is only the last step away from the detachment that the ancient gods of the first generation could only hope to achieve. This step is to cut off the bond between yourself and the game world. How to cut off? With a slight smile, Sumu grasped the source of this law from afar. The Chaos Plane, which was far away at the end of the Void Ocean, suddenly returned to nothingness. The demons in it were all migrated to the Abyss Plane by Sumu, making the Abyss Plane the ultimate form of endless abyss in an instant. Chaos consciousness in the Chaos Plane. After being transformed by Sumu, he replaced the trace of his soul left in the Abyss Plane and became the controller of the Abyss Plane. Abyss consciousness. At this time, the existence and destruction of the entire game world has been in Sumu's mind, and the birth of Abyss consciousness. It's like he found a big housekeeper for his original family business to help him manage the entire Abyss Plane, and his authority is still above the Abyss Lord and the Abyss Council. Abyss consciousness, higher than the Abyss Lord, manages the Abyss Lord. The other side. Mimicking the Abyss consciousness, Sumu created another similar being, the Gaia consciousness, to govern the countless planes and worlds, the remaining gods, and the infinite beings. The Abyss consciousness and Gaia consciousness are the unity of opposites. When the Abyss plane is too strong, Gaia consciousness will actively enhance the strength of the gods and creatures to fight the Abyss. When the gods are too strong, the Abyss consciousness will also actively enhance the strength of the demon gods and Abyss monsters against all beings. In this way, the war will not stop. But when the entire game world is under the management of the Abyss consciousness and the Gaia consciousness, which are similar to the law and the collection of rules, the game world has acquired the existence that the ancient gods of the previous generation did not give it: balance. In this way, the destruction of the world is no longer inevitable. In this way, this world will continue to exist and will develop and grow in constant wars. It is Sumu's last gift to this world from which he was born. The balance of the world has been reached. The last bond between Sumu and this world has also been severed. The conditions for detachment have also been fulfilled. Subsequently, he stepped out. The vision in front of me suddenly changed dramatically. In front of him, there is nothingness. Under his feet, in this nothingness, suspended a small sphere. This sphere is the entire game world, including the void ocean. His eyes were looking into the distance. Across the endless and distant void, he seemed to see an illusory river. That big river runs through nothingness and runs through the worlds that float in the void. He also seemed to see the existences that were just like him, detached from his original world. Transcendence, creator, maintainer, destroyer. All this is their name. They have been detached, immortal, and exist forever. The meaning of their existence is to create worlds, maintain worlds, and even destroy deformed worlds, and find their own fun in them. Detachment, aloof, supreme. They are above the world. It turns out, the biggest plugin has never been anything else but myself. A sense of enlightenment rose in my heart. Sumu smiled slightly. A little blood flew out from his fingertips, crossed the long river of time, and reversed the long river of time, returned to the game world hundreds of years ago, and quietly fell into a hunter who was already under the power of the gods. On the corner juggernaut player. That is himself. Self hundreds of years ago. With a drop of blood, he reversed time hundreds of years ago and sent him to the game world. A drop of blood also gave him the talent of erosion, who was reborn into the game world. Then, a small skeleton relied on this talent to continuously grow and eventually grow into the current self. Last step, closed loop is formed. Since then, there is no existence that can change everything in the past. And there is no existence that can go back to the past to hurt itself and then affect the immortal, and eternal present. He is detached. When the closed loop is formed, he, being the beginning of everything, it is the end of everything. Postscript.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.